Some people say Dakota is the most creepy and horror building in New York City. First we see the history of Dakota. According to a 1996 article in New York Magazine, many brokers classify the Dakota as one of 5 top-tier apartment buildings on Central Park West, largely because of its residence, large scale, and historical prestige. Edward Cabot Clark, the founder and CEO of the Singer Manufacturing Company, of sewing machine fame and wealth, was a New York real estate speculator who had a vision for the barren wastelands of the Upper West Side. As well as sparing no expense on the Dakota building, he also corralled other developers to commit to maintaining the luxury feel of the new neighborhood. Located on the northwest corner of Central Park West and 72nd Street across the road from Strawberry Fields. The building was designed by Henry Janeway Hardenberg, who would go on to design the Plaza Hotel and the Waldorf Astoria. No detail was overlooked in the design and floor plan, up to 16 rooms and some apartments, a highly embellished exterior, and an overall style that defies easy classification. Some called it Chateauesque, some German Renaissance. The address has been upscale and exclusive from the start. Construction started on October 25th of 1880, but did not finish until October 27th of 1884. The surroundings were a long way from the action at the time. Downtown was a lot further south than it is today. Some joke that the name refers to the remoteness of the building. Features: although every style of building is seen in New York City, the Dakota is a unique blend, with steep roofs with high gabled sides. Balconies jut out from all sides. Decoration is plentiful, and again of no real style, except that all of its own. The Dakota apartment building is square in plan, built around an airy and atmospheric central courtyard. The main entrance is arched, and large enough for a big horse-drawn carriage. The entrance is in the archway, to permit passengers to disembark while avoiding any inclement weather. With carriages their horse, these were accommodated in a large, 2-section stable with multiple stories. Once horses were superseded by the horseless carriage, the stables were converted into a garage, and used as such until 2007. Later the impressive building was transformed to condominium. Inside, the floor plans of the apartments were influenced strongly by the architectural trends going on in France. Across every apartment, all major rooms were connected to the others. All these rooms are also accessible from a nearby corridor or hall. This novel arrangement allows guests to flow from one room to another naturally. Especially important for entertaining and at holiday periods. Also, the principal entertaining rooms in all apartments face an external street. Oddly, this includes most master bedroom suites. Noisy. The apartments could be aired from 2 different sides, allowing for easy flow-through of breezes and air. At this time this kind of layout was a novelty. Interior fittings were luxurious as well, floors of cherry, oak, or mahogany laid lovingly by master craftsmen, while the ceilings reach up to 14 feet high. Every apartment was laid out differently. Built with 65 apartments of 4 to 20 rooms each, several have been subdivided since. The apartments could also be accessed both via a staircase or elevator. The service staff had a separate set of stairs for the many kitchens and some elevators. With occupants coming from the large individual family homes around the city, there needed to be many amenities that had been attractive and exceptional for the time. There was a large central dining room, from which meals could be sent to the individual apartments via dumbwaiters. Rare at the time, there was also a central heating, not to mention a gymnasium and playroom in the building. These communal spaces were on the 10th floor, but were later converted to even more apartments. Naturally, there was a private lawn for the tenants, with a garden, several tennis courts, and of course a private croquet lawn. The apartments appeared advertised in the New York press in 1933, featuring an interview with a full-time manager of the building. Considered a landmark of New York City even when it was launched, the building has long been an exclusive residence. In 1972, the building was added to the Register of Historic Places. However, it wasn't until 1976 that the building was considered a historic landmark. The Dakota building set the standard for Upper West Side apartment living, built at a time when the upper classes were only just becoming familiar with the concept of living in an apartment. Notable residents and issues. The Dakota has been home to artists and performers throughout its history. The notoriously choosy condo board has refused several well-known residents applying for the right to purchase an apartment in the building. In 2005, Albert Maysles had proposed selling an apartment to actors Antonio Banderas and Melanie Griffith. The board rejected the actor couple. Albert had told the New York Times that he was disappointed with the way the building had seemed to be changing. He felt the board was losing touch with its artistic roots, which encouraged interesting people to live there. He accused them of only being concerned with those who had the money. Other notable rejected applicants include Billy Joel, Carly Simon, and Gene Simmons, even Dennis Mayhill, the paper cup baron of America in 2002. The most famous resident was John Lennon and Yoko Ono, a member of the Beatles, and solo artists with his visual artist wife Yoko. Lennon was murdered on the steps of the Dakota in 1980. It was a cold December night when he was killed in cold blood by Mark David Chapman. Mark was a music fan with mental health issues. He shot John Lennon 4 times in the shoulder and back. Lennon died almost instantly. He only took a few steps before he collapsed on the ground. The loss was worldwide news, and marked another handy marker for a turning point in world history. New York is a psychically active place, the site of many hauntings, and so much human passion and energy that ghosts are perhaps inevitable. We pick up the reports of ghostly activity at the Dakota Apartments in the 1960s. A construction worker who was working near the apartments stated he saw a figure with the body of a man but the face of a young boy, coinciding with the death of another famous resident, Judy Holliday. The construction workers also felt like they were being closely watched while they worked, or perhaps just they were being too loud. Today residents claim to have seen a little girl, dressed in period clothing, waving and smiling from several lower windows. It is said that the spirit of John Lennon lives on in Dakota Apartments to this day. One resident witnessed John Lennon playing piano right in their apartment. He was murdered in the archway of the southern entrance. Sometime after the murder, many people claimed to see Lennon leaning against the wall, in his characteristic white flared suit in the stone archway where he died. He was seen by several people with an eerie light surrounding him. One woman said Lennon spoke with her. She claimed he said, "Do not be afraid. I am still here with you." John Lennon himself had reported seeing supernatural happenings. He claims he saw a UFO from one of the windows of the apartment in the Dakota building. He also repeatedly met a ghost he called the Crying Lady Ghost. She was said to be lurking benevolently in the hallways of the older parts of the by now extended and modified building. One recurring happening has been that objects have been seen in their apartments to move of their own accord, even large objects like furniture or rugs. Residents also often report hearing tiny footsteps and odd noises at strange times in their apartments. Frederick Weinstein, a resident, with his wife Susanna, went on record reporting seeing the lights of a chandelier in his living room form below on the street. He saw this through the 72nd Street window. However, he does not have any chandeliers. However, when he ran into his apartment, the lights were gone. But upon further inspection, he did notice a patched-up set of bolts in the ceiling where a chandelier had once hung. The most sinister stories in the Dakota building or New York come from the basement. Once, a porter had taken a tenant to the basement area with the intent to show them objects moving mysteriously on their own. The porter had been in the room earlier when a heavy metal bar went flying across the room, nearly hitting the porter. The two men were down in the basement investigating these claims. The porter claimed the bar landed at the porter's feet. He had gone to pick it up only to find it was way far too heavy for him to lift. Other people have seen a man who looks like Edward Cabot Clark, the developer of the building, once again in the basement. However, Clark never lived in the building. Fact 1. Leonard Bernstein's former apartment was the building's most expensive sala, located on the 2nd floor. The 4-bedroom, 4-bathroom apartment had a library, a formal dining room, a wood fireplace, kitchen and breakfast areas, and views of Central Park. It was listed at $25.5 million and sold for $21 million. Fact 2. Its boilers could heat every structure in a 4-block radius. Dakota has an in-house power plant, so its residents will never have to shiver. Fact 3. It's rumored that $30,000 is buried under the floor of Lennon and Ono's apartment, according to author Stephen Birmingham's 1996 book, Life at the Dakota. The previous resident of John and Yoko's apartment hid the money under the master bedroom floor. Whether that's true will remain a question, as the board refuses to destroy the floor to solve the mystery. Fact 4. One particularly odd 10-room apartment has been for sale for 8 years. Apartment 26 has been on and off the market for the past 8 years, dropping from a $19.5 million asking price to a recent price of $14.5 million. Fact 5. Celebrities don't get special treatment. Notable celebrities who have been rejected by the Dakota Co-op Board include Melanie Griffith and Antonio Banderas, Cher, Billy Joel, Madonna, Carly Simon, Alex Rodriguez, Judd Apatow, and T. Leone. Fact 6. The current application process is insane. Hopefuls must submit years of financial statements and tax documents, go through a background check, and pay a fee of over $1,000. After applicants complete the rigorous application process, the Co-op Board can still deny them. Back in 2011, the Co-op Board was accused of bias and faced a defamation and racial discrimination lawsuit by a former board member who lived in the Dakota. Fact 7. The building had 0 vacancies for 45 years after it opened from 1884 to 1929. All 65 of the Dakota's apartments, each with a reported 4 bathrooms, parlor, and servant quarters, remained spoken for. Fact 8. It has been a magnet for the rich and famous. Since it opened in 1884, the building was reportedly fully rented before it even opened, thanks to a glowing New York Times review. The Steinway family, of Steinway piano fame, was one of the Dakota's first residents. Though he died in 1983, Peter Tchaikovsky is said to have lived there. Perhaps he lived in it before its completion. Actress Lauren Bacall owned the 9-room apartment for 53 years and recently sold for $23.5 million. Other notable residents have included author Harlan Coben, U2 single Quotes Bono, Rex Reed, Jack Palance, Lillian Gish, Boris Karloff, Rosemary Clooney, Connie Chung, and Maury Povich. Fact 9. According to legend, it gets its name from its far west location. People like to joke that it might as well have been built in the Dakotas. Fact 10. The original owner's former apartment is Sterling Silver Florsinger Sewing Machine Company founder Edward Clark commissioned the Dakota as a $1 million apartment building for 60 families, including his own. Clark, however, died in 1882, 2 years before the building was completed. Fact 11. Tenants are forbidden to throw away original doors and fireplace mantels. If tenants want to rid apartments of these items, there is a special storage area. Fact 12. John Lennon was shot dead in front of the Dakota by a crazed fan. John Lennon of Beatles was shot dead outside his Dakota house in New York City on December 8, 1980. Mark David Chapman, a Beatles fan, disapproved of Lennon's lifestyle in remarks from 1966, in which he stated that the Beatles were more popular than Jesus. Fact 13. Yoko Ono still lives in the Dakota and says she saw Lennon's ghost there. The Dakota is most notorious for being the site where Beatles icon John Lennon was gunned down by Mark David Chapman on December 8, 1980. Yet, Lennon's spirit lives on at the Dakota. Yoko Ono reportedly said she saw Lennon's ghost playing the piano at their apartment. Fact 14. When he was alive, Lennon told Ono he saw a crying lady ghost in the building. The Beatles musician told his wife he had seen the ghost roaming the halls. Fact 15. The building has no fire escape. Architect Henry J. Hardenberg purposely avoided fire escapes by slathering mud from Central Park between the layers of brick flooring to fireproof and soundproof the building. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe the channel.